Hello, I'm Dennis Greene, President of Church Development and author of the Stewardship System. This video will help you prepare to ask your top leadership donor prospects for a leadership gift to your capital campaign. I've been a student of stewardship since 1981, and I've facilitated hundreds of gifts and millions of dollars in donations to church capital campaigns. Now remember, stewardship is a way of life. We need to facilitate the flow of God's blessings through your members. Good stewardship will make fundraising superfluous. For more resources, go to churchdevelopment.com or stewardshipsystem.org. Now remember, as we begin, this is not a sale. You are really going to serve in the role of a facilitator. God's blessings are ready to flow through your members. The focus needs to be on prayer and not pressure. Now, this system includes the following elements. Initially, right out of the chute, you're going to engage them fully before the ask, both as participants in decision-making and participants as volunteers. During the ask, you'll establish rapport. Then you'll present the need. Finally, you'll present the ask. Remember, the decision to give will be based in prayer. It's really You're facilitating the relationship between the individual and God. Now, to put this in context, this is not a door-to-door solicitation. We do not want to fill out a pledge card and stand there and wait while the individual signs it. We do not want to have a big banquet of a pledge card underneath the plate. That really sends the wrong message. That's the secular approach. Remember, our approach is based on prayer and not pressure. So before the ask, you'll have these components in place. Number one, you'll have engaged them in the decision-making process about the plan. Now think back to the time when your church created the master plan, your long-range plan, the facility plan, and then conducted your feasibility studies. These are all input opportunities. And the more influential the leadership individual is, the more we want to engage them in the decision-making process. The second thing that we'll do is to engage them as a volunteer. There's a phenomenon in the volunteer world called episodic volunteering. We want to create opportunities for volunteering that have a beginning and an end, that are episodic, so there may be just 2 or 3 volunteer opportunities, so that people don't look at this volunteer opportunity like a finance committee where a person is on that like a terminal illness until they die. We really want it to have a beginning and an end where they can make a decision and then get off of that committee. The third thing that we'll do is to engage them socially with other people. The recent research that came out of Gallup polling brings me the insight about the triple B. I'd like you to remember this. Belonging brings belief. So we want to connect people socially so that they're in the milieu, in the environment of a belief in a strategy for the church that will lead the church in the right direction. So they're deeply engaged in creating that strategy, and their social connections are all headed in the same direction as well. Number 4, we'll have educated them about the project at hand. We'll prepare a whole lot of materials in print, video, social media, on your website. They'll see it in the back of church on a regular basis. We want to meet all of their left brain analytical information needs well in advance of the ask. We will also have prepared materials to hand to them during the ask. We'll have a little notebook or a folder. It'll have the brochure, frequently asked questions, fact sheets, drawings. Every possible question that they might ask is going to be prepared, including a very vital piece for these leadership donors. It will be a chart, we call it the gift range chart, in which we outline each gift by amount in a pyramid-shaped form that corresponds with the impact of that gift. So we've really done our preparation in advance to meet their analytical needs. Before the ask, we will have delivered their invitation to talk about their gift in the campaign. We'll have either mailed it to them or we'll have made a telephone call expressly articulating our desire to meet with them in person to talk about them making a leadership gift. The last thing that we want to do is surprise them. All right, I want to conclude this section by reminding you, this is not a last-minute event. We have prepared well in advance for this very important meeting. Okay, we've covered what to do in advance of the ask, and that's really several months of preparation before you get to the ask. Now let's talk about what does it look like when you're sitting down with the individual to ask for their leadership gift. The first thing that you'll do is to establish rapport. Now, the technical term for rapport is defined as harmony. It's the nonverbal message that we are in sync. This takes work. Now, remember, this doesn't happen by you lecturing the individual. This comes from you asking questions, listening, active listening, and self-disclosure, so that the dialogue is a lot like a tennis match and not like a lecture. Okay, so you've really got to heighten your interpersonal skills at this precise moment. This has to be an engaging, fun experience for your member. This is not meant to be a lecture. Now, the topics that you'll be asking them questions about include, of course, family. How's it going with each member of their family? Tell me about your work. What's going on in your neighborhood? What interesting things have you read lately? What are you involved in at church, and how's that going? Now, as you have asked questions and you have responded with self-disclosure about yourself to match their disclosure, you're sending the message that we are similar. The next thing that you'll do is you'll listen carefully to their predicates. You'll mentally have going on, listening for, are they visual, auditory, kinesthetic? Are they more interested in pursuing benefits or avoiding consequences? Are they a more linear thinker or a more emotional thinker? What sort of metaphors do they use to describe the flow of life as they see it? Now, you want to pay close attention to those predicates because those hold a great deal of meaning. They reveal to you how they think. So in our world, in the world of professional fundraising, we call this process calibrating. So you want to pay attention to their posture. If a member is sitting like this, they're sending a clear message. If they're leaning forward and listening, that's a very different message. In particular, I want you to practice, this takes a lot of work, but I want you to pay attention to breathing. Is it coming lower from their diaphragm, which indicates a relaxed posture, or upper in the chest, which indicates a higher degree of tension? The advanced course in establishing rapport will have you looking at things like lower lip size, becoming aware of their pulse and their carotid artery, their pupil dilation, the coloration of their cheeks. Those are all indicators of a person's state of being. That I know that's an advanced topic. I don't expect you to tackle those right now, but I do want you to pay attention. I want you to know when you are in rapport. When they've sent the signal that they're relaxed and they feel comfortable and that you are in sync, then it's time to segue into the ask. So really, you're looking for a green light that says, go, I'm ready for the ask. So now let's talk about moving into the ask. The best segue that you can use is to ask them for their opinions on the campaign materials. Now remember, you'll have proceeded to this point preparing materials for their consideration. Now is the time to bring those out and present those. So you'll place a folder on the table, you'll present it to them. In the case, you'll have your brochure, your question and answer sheet, drawings, diagrams, charts, and in particular, you'll have a gift range chart, that pyramidal structure that shows the gifts that we need to make this campaign a success, from the largest gift down to the smallest gift, and will show the impact of each one of those gifts on the human beings that are part of the church. So we're going to present this information, and we're going to ask them their opinion, their thoughts, and their feelings. Now, the kind of thing that they'll be most interested in is looking at those leadership gifts and to see the impact of their possible gift on the life of the church. So you might have articulated in your gift range chart, $100,000 might sponsor the sound system, $50,000 might sponsor the foyer, $20,000 might sponsor a classroom, $10,000 might sponsor an entry. Each one of those, down to the smallest level, is what's going to catch their eye. So as you present this, be cognizant of their concerns. All right, now let's talk about the ask itself. As they have reviewed the material and they are ready and they've asked questions, now it's the time to move into the ask. The way to precede your ask is to say, I've asked every member of our church to consider making a pledge of 5% of their income each year for the next 3 years, or a one-time gift of 5% of their assets. Now say that slowly and calmly and let that sit in. They will have heard that before. Now in your church you might have chosen a different percentage. Maybe it's 2% or 3% or 4%, but 5% is kind of the norm. So you'll have presented that percentage before today. They will have done that calculation before today. They will know what 5% of their income is each year for 3 years. They will know what 5% of their assets are. They will have that number in their mind. So this is our point of departure, the contextualizing of that. Right now you will say, for most of us, this gift will be the single largest charitable gifts of our lifetimes. Say that slowly. Let it sink in. Now remember, there's a lot going on internally. Don't talk too fast. Don't bring a lot of pressure. Please bring up the point that on the gift range chart, everyone can see the impact of their level of giving. Now here's the ask. I'd like you to consider sponsoring the foyer or the education wing or a classroom. I'd like you to consider being one of our leadership donors, and I'd like you to take the time to talk it over with your spouse and take this into prayer. Here's the prayer guide. Over the next 2 weeks, if you could make that consideration and then get back with me, I would really appreciate it, so that we can announce by this date that we have a handful of leadership gifts in, that we have some significant momentum taking us towards Commitment Sunday. You can have a huge impact on our success. There, now you've presented the ask, you've contextualized the amount, you've made the focus on prayer. So now it's time to move towards conclusion. You're going to say to them, after you've worked through the prayer guide and taken this into prayer and listened carefully for God's guidance, please give me a call if you have any questions. Or if you've completed your pledge card, please come by the church anytime and drop off that pledge card. If I don't hear from you by this date, I'll follow up and give you a call. Now, you've done your homework, you've made the ask. One option that you have right now is to close with prayer. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you may choose to tell them how you personally take a decision like this to prayer. And the focus of that prayer should be, Dear God, please help me understand your will in my life, and please give me the strength to follow that guidance. So when you say that, you're really modeling the discernment process for them. You really do want this to be between the individual and God. That's the most important thing that you can offer. I do recommend that you rehearse this and maybe practice this with your spouse or your friends. Pursue your low-hanging fruits first to get them under your belt. Go to those people that you know are going to be a success and automatic yes first, so that you feel comfortable with the process. And then take on your tougher, more challenging individuals. Now, as you go forward, I want you to remember that you're not asking for you. You're really serving the church. You're serving God. So be brave, be strong, and know that ultimately God's will be done. We are here to serve God's will, so go forth. Good luck, and God bless.